Hello, welcome back. So, anyone got any questions that you cannot answer, or or you want to share something?
Actually, Andrew, I want to ask a question, right? Like,
Yes.
what's your views, because there's been, people saying you have the website domain name as like the name of your business. Then
Right.
there's like,
Yeah.
recently there's a lot of like personal branding kind of thing that's coming up, and people say that you should have a website of your own name. So I mean, yeah, I just want to hear your views on that.
Oh yes, I think this is very relevant. Now, you all know that actually I took quite a long time to get andrewang.sg because you know Ang is actually a big common name in Singapore and in Asia. Ang surname. Andrew is another very common name. Okay, so if I have started buying last time, I would have bought Andrew.com already. But Andrew.com is not for sales. Andrew.com is actually a commercial company. So to answer you, right, whether you are buying it for or branding or not, I think not really key. But if you next time you become famous, then maybe people will ask you, hey, you want to buy no? I sell you $1 million. So they bought your website called Suli.com. And then they ask you, hey, $1 million is very cheap. You got $1 billion. So pay me 1 million is only 0.1%. So why not? So there are people who actually really just buy some certain keywords and then they just keep it and they don't use it. Yeah. So okay, just to let you know, the domain name is actually a binary. It's a number thing. That's how computer search is an address. So this domain name right has no value at all. It's just like our car plate, right? You know our car plate number? Um it can be transferred. And this number, right, humans just want to assign a value to it. So like a car plate number called maybe with a running number of 1688. It's just a digit, right? But there are people who is willing to pay $20,000 to bid a digit called 1688 and then put their 168 hang it on their car. Yeah. So anyway, that's yeah. Did I answer your question, Yuli? Oh, I earned too much.
Um, it's okay the context, yeah, but I'm still trying to, like.
Personal branding, I think is useful lah. Yeah,
Okay,
but
because
that's for
yours,
me lah.
the business one you can like sell it off, but personal branding is like it's like yourself as a whole lah. But then there's also people who's concerned that um like they want to retain their privacy and all.
Yeah, this is a very good school of thought. I think, to be honest, I think it's good to be private also. But because of the profession, I mean, I don't think I can be private. So yeah, if it's a better thing to be private. Try not to share too much of your personal stuff. Yeah, I think that is better. Yeah.
Hello, Andrew.
Yep.
I believe you already finished answering the question, right? So there's another question I want to ask you, which is
Yeah.
something actually I was talking to Kim about just now in the break room. So,
Yep.
cause I was talking to him, like letting him understand more about how domain functions. So one of the things he asked was that later in the session, right, will you be covering more on domains? Cause
Yep.
there are some parts that are still like quite blur,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
quite
I have
unclear lah.
for the third round of digital marketing, I spend more time, and there'll be a lot more slide on domain itself. Yeah. So there are students who feedback during the first two rounds. They told me about some of their questions. So this time around, we actually will put more time resource on domain name. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a heavy topic
Okay,
today.
thank you. That's
Yeah.
the question.
Okay. Let's go inside before we go for a break. Let's continue. 40 over slide to go through. So better. Okay. Um. So something like this USPTO. So this is actually a website that you can actually check copyright trademark. Okay, Singapore has its own trademark as well. So you might want to check both US as well as Singapore or every places in terms of the word that you are using. Yeah. So just in case you get sued, and sometimes when you design a logo, right, your logo look too much alike like the Starbucks example. Starbucks might take action against you as well, right? Yeah. So it might be your creative, but I just didn't know that actually how come so similar to Starbucks? So important about trademark and copyright. Okay, don't get into trouble. Okay, so TLD, top level domain. Okay, so it is actually one of the domain at the highest level in the hierarchy of domain name system. Our Singapore.com.sg is actually considered third level. So they have top level and then other level for in terms of uh, the domain name. But don't worry too much about that. Anyway, um, this is just a showing about when you buy .com, .dev, .app, .ca, there are so many um, suffix that you can actually buy. One word you can. There are so many things that end with. Yep, the extensions. Remember, I was telling you about. I was sharing about the extensions. .com, .com.sg or .net, etc. So really depend on what you want to do with the domain that you're buying. What you're going to do with the website. Okay. Um, this is actually the statistics by SGNIC. It's actually a registry, official registry. Our Singapore government have it. I think this is under IMDA. IMDA is actually an authority. Okay, so IMDA actually take charge of SGNIC and SGNIC report to IMDA. So you want to register a .com.sg, .net.sg, .org.sg, .edu.sg, .gov.sg, .pu.sg, right? And Singapore, you all know that 你们懂哦 Sorry, people who don't speak Chinese， 你们懂哦，有这个东西叫 something dot 新加坡。maybe 我的名字叫春火，所以我可以写一个春火 dot 新加坡。Do you know that? Look at the expressions. Okay, anyway, I don't know whether so dot 新加坡 is actually and suffix as well. So anyway, if you want to get all this, you need a SingPass or Corp Pass to register yourself. You cannot anyhow buy. Singapore authority actually regulate that. But in other country, it could be very different. You want to buy a .com, a .net, a .org, there is no such requirement. But Singapore has two requirements. After you buy the domain name from a web hosting company, right? After you bought it, you can't use it until you get the approval from this authority called SGNIC. SGNIC will be the one to approve whether you can use it or not. So, but you still need to buy it before they approve whether you can use it or not. Questions? Okay, I'm showing this because you can see that every month, right, the .com.sg and the .sg is actually increasing. Okay, so this is July 20. So you can see that .sg there's 87,000. .com.sg there's actually 91,000, right? 91,000. .新加坡很少啊，只有171. So no one is buying .新加坡. Okay, questions? So there's a lot of take up rate for people and internet I think is actually growing. Okay, this is also to share with you. Yeah. So personally, for my personal brand name, I bought the andrewang.sg. No point getting a .com.sg. So I bought andrewang.sg. And anyway, when I want to buy andrewang.com.sg, it's not available. So that was also one of the reasons why I didn't buy andrewang.com.sg. Just show you the example. Yeah. Okay, subdomains is actually a third level of domain hierarchy, and they are part of the top level domain. So they are either in front of the root domain and separate from the domain name with a period. For example, broad. It can be a broad.andrewang.com, and then maybe I want to have a third level domain called english.andrewang.com, or I can have maybe let's say medical.andrewang.com to let people know, right, you can actually, one of my favorite topic that I like to do is actually medical. So they can actually click that third level of domain to go inside that. This is quite common. I think you guys might have seen it before. So why am I doing this to show you is actually you need not buy a lot of domain name. You can be a person with 10 different interests. Let's say you want to blog about something. You have 10 interests. You have interest on badminton, you have interest of soccer, basketball, whatever lah. So you can have for example, your name is andrew.com, right? So your domain is andrew.com. So you can have badminton.andrew.com, basketball.andrew.com, that kind of thing. So people click on that one will be everything about basketball that you are playing, lor. Something like that. I hope this will be a useful example. Okay. Okay. Domain name registration data lookup. So someone have bought that domain name that you are looking for, you can actually go to look up the ICANN. ICANN, right? It's actually a international body where they actually help to regulate in terms of domain name. ICANN. So anyway, so you want to look for reference provider, you can actually find out where is the server. This is the server name, the name server name, the registration expiry date. So then maybe after the expiry date, maybe you can actually buy it. Yep. So you can wait until April 6th, then go and buy the domain name because you're waiting for it, right? And you don't want to bid for it. You don't spend extra money to bid for it, so you can wait till that time. But actually, to be honest, I think no chance. If there are people who are keeping it for years, right? Why would they let go? So you wait until it expire. Actually, they just renew, so they will not be expiry date. Okay. Yep. Okay. So maybe you need to know a bit about this thing called DNS record. This is important, no? Okay. I actually own about 15 domain names, so I want to save money. So from what I understand, right, if I buy domain name from Namecheap, it's cheaper. But if I want to host my website thing, right, I want to get a company that give me very good support, because I will have questions. I will have issue if what happens if the website crash, because I'm using it for commercial reason. So I didn't like Namecheap because the name of it, Namecheap, sounds a bit cheap, right? So I'm worried about their service. So I didn't want to use Namecheap as a service provider. I shouldn't say that because our YouTube video will be uploaded to YouTube. Shucks. Okay, anyway, Namecheap is not bad. I've been using Namecheap for quite a while. So they don't laugh there, Celine. So okay, so you need to know the DNS record so that you can actually log in. Once you buy in namecheap.com, right? Once you buy the domain name, you need to point your domain name to the site ground, which is the one that hosting your website. Okay, web hosting, right? Basically, they provide the disk space, the storage for you to store your website. That's why they are called web hosting. Understand, right? So that's web hosting, right? So Namecheap, actually, when they started, I think they started with just selling domain name. Then after they have web hosting. But anyway, so they are a company that just target on selling domain name itself to make money from domain name. Yeah. So anyway, so when I buy from Namecheap, which is cheaper, it's about 20% cheaper compared to SiteGround. Just for information, in case you want to ask. So then I will log into Namecheap and then to point the server to SiteGround. Okay, let me do a demo. I think we will not have enough time now to do a demo.
Andrew, I can do the demo later if you want.
I think it's okay. Do it now because
Okay.
In case they are confused or I'm not sure. That's the thing about doing Zoom. I don't know whether they know what I'm talking about. Like I'm talking to myself, right? So okay, so this is actually the name chip. Can see, right? So these are the website. These are the domain name, but I've never buy their web hosting. Okay, so you can actually go to manage, and you can actually go to their DNS. You need to, maybe you need to, okay, I think it's over here. Yep. So over here, name server, you need to point the DNS to SiteGround. So when you buy a hosting package from this from a company called SiteGround, for example, so then they will tell you, SiteGround will be able to tell you what is their server name. Then the computer will recognize, right? When they type whatever.com, right? Then the whatever.com actually direct to Namecheap, correct? No? But when they come to Namecheap, you didn't store your website inside Namecheap, right? Then how? Or then this computer here, Namecheap computer here, right? They will help to redirect point to SiteGround. So in order for them to point to SiteGround, you need to have an address. You need to give the computer the address for them to point to. So it's important to know the name server. Questions? Okay, no question, right? I think I don't need to use this way. Oh, shucks. I should have closed all this. Yeah. Um, sensitive stuff actually. Okay. Let me move this away. So can you all see? So you need to know about for DNS record, right? You need to know about NS, AMX, CNAME, SPF. Okay, and all are explained here. I'm not going to detail because I think you might not need to remember. But in case you need to know it is tutorial here in the SiteGround. The thing about SiteGround is actually they have a lot of tutorial. So there are things that you cannot remember, right? You can just search in their tutorial, and they are useful, very useful tutorial. Okay. So configuring the DNS, like what I show you, two options. There are two ways. You can actually use a SiteGround name server with your domain, or you can update the domain A record to point to your web hosting. So I show you the method was first method. Just key in the name server and that's pointing. Otherwise, you can actually go to the name chip itself, right? And then go and update the domain A record so that it will actually point to your web hosting IP address. Okay, so just now that one is IP address, the whatever number, then the siteground.asia. Okay, questions? I need to see everyone now. Then, in case y'all got questions. Some no face one, so cannot don't know whether got questions. Okay, so SiteGround. This is the web hosting that I bought. I find that it's actually quite valuable, so I actually bought this. SiteGround. You can actually in the SiteGround you actually can configure the DNS. Yeah, so this is actually one of the things you can configure. Go to the site tool, this one, to configure the DNS record. Okay, so IP address, the just now I show you that one, the IP and name server. Okay. Okay, let's skip this, a bit technical for y'all, but good to know. Okay, CMS, content management system, CMS. Okay, so it's about allow you to control and manage the content of your website yourself without HTML knowledge. HTML is actually a language, so you can actually write HTML. 20 years ago, when I started my own website, I was writing HTML. Yeah, it's not coding. I think it should be considered programming skill. HTML is considered a programming skill. It's not coding. Okay, so let's see CMS. According to Google, I just Googled last night. I Googled for website development CMS platform. It actually suggested WordPress is the most popular CMS software. So tonight we are going to focus on WordPress. Some of you actually share that you have you have used Spotify. I think Carissa said she used Spotify before. But one of the things that I heard from people is actually Spotify can be quite expensive. Although it is very user friendly, but can be quite expensive. And what I often heard from people who are using WordPress is WordPress has a lot of plugin, so it offers you a lot of flexibility, and some form of coding, right? It can be very useful for you. Yeah, so you are able to code as well for your WordPress website. Okay, so WordPress is actually open source, just like Android open source. WordPress.org. This is the website, the official website you can go. There are a lot of resources, but so those people who started the WordPress many years ago, more than 20 years, because I was using WordPress 20 years ago, I'm sure it's more than 20 years. They have actually wanted to make it a free thing, so it's open source, so people can still continue to upgrade it. Yep. Okay, so according to research, they actually say that you can see that the statistics at the bottom right. You now see it. So WordPress has a lot more user, 38.3%. More than one third of the world is actually using it. When I was doing a search last time, very long ago, quite a few years ago, there was only about close to 30%. So now actually it's getting more popular than ever. Okay. Wikipedia talk about statistics and static or dynamic website. I think dynamic website is a lot of time you prefer because it looks very nice. But dynamic website, maybe you will need certain kind of software skill. Yeah, but most of the website that I know of and very good website, they are also using statics. So static is not too bad also. Okay. So just to let you know, there's actually this thing called static and dynamic website. Okay, so this is what I'm using. The web hosting platform. I'm using SiteGround. I'm also using a Singapore one called awesomesite.org. So I'm using two web hosting. You might be asking why I'm using two different web hosting. Okay, first thing, the SiteGround that I'm using, right, the disk space is not enough for me to use. So I need to upgrade or I need to go to another website, web hosting. I like the Singapore one because their data is stored in Singapore. So I think in Singapore is safer. Then of course, if data is stored in Singapore, it should be more expensive compared to overseas. So that's the reason why I bought the web hosting into the company called awesomesite.org. Okay, in case you all are seeing my eyeball sometimes go to the side, right? That's because I'm using multi-monitor. I'm using dual monitor. So I have one monitor with the people face and one monitor with the presentation slide. Yeah. Okay, so when I started 3 years ago, yeah, my web hosting with SiteGround started 3 years ago. Before that, I was using GoDaddy. Before GoDaddy, I was using some other company, I can't remember. Anyway, so GoDaddy is actually more expensive. So 3 years ago, I switched to SiteGround, and I find that SiteGround is as good as GoDaddy in terms of service support. Yeah. So I bought the Grow Big. Okay, so for $10 a month, US dollars, first year only. The discount is only for first year. You get 20 gig. You get all these free stuff. Quite good actually. Yeah. So you can consider doing that. But 20 gig actually not enough for me. I'm running low. So as time go by, right, your website might expand because of video storage. Video will eat up a lot of storage. Okay. They say they have 2 million domains, so not too bad. Yep. So if you want to use SiteGround, can you use this referral ID? So when you use the referral ID, I get 3 months free. Okay, but don't worry about that. This is just for your information. Yep. So only for first year you get $10 per month. Yep. If you are only using one website, then no point. Just go back to startup. If you are very sure you are going to have only one website, I will strongly encourage you to just buy the startup package. Never go to grow big. No point. Yeah. Yeah. Just the startup can read. Okay. Let's go for a break. Then we come back. How much time do you all need? 5 minutes. Let's try 5 minutes. Then we come back. We come back at 8:30, 8:30. So you got 7 minutes. Okay. See you later.
Okay.
You got questions? Can ask me now.